This is a story about ordinary young New Zealanders. They enjoy playing and working, and they love nothing better than a good laugh. But as Paula Penfold will show you, there's one thing that makes them a little different. You see, people like them may soon disappear from the face of the earth.
This might seem too insensitive a question, but it goes to the heart of the issue. Should he, or shouldn't he, have been born? 22-year-old Alex Snedden personifies a contentious debate, one that hasn't been had until now. The most personal and private of decisions, or a question of our collective responsibility to people like him.
You like to do the same things that everybody else likes to do?
Yeah.
You went to Sacred Heart School, for instance?
Yeah.
Not a special needs school?
No, that's right.
Why is that? You wanted to be at the same school as...
Oh, everyone else, like ordinary.
You just wanted to be ordinary?
Yeah.
Alex is one of the 50 to 60 people born every year in New Zealand with Down syndrome. It's a genetic condition in about 1 in every 700 births, where they have an extra 21st chromosome. There are shared, instantly recognisable physical characteristics. The medical problems associated with it vary wildly from person to person, from very mild to reasonably severe.
Rebecca, get the ball.
3-year-old Rebecca is oblivious to what her dad, Mike Sullivan, says are subtle prejudices about her. He believes you can tell by people's looks and reactions whether or not they choose to engage with her.
When you got this diagnosis, 3 or 4 days after Rebecca was born, did it take much coming to terms with for you?
Not for me, no. Really, the response I had at the time was compassion and really just to be with my daughter and to tell her that I loved her unconditionally, and that diagnosis would make absolutely no difference to how I valued her in my life.
None whatsoever? None
whatsoever. It was actually quite an empowering experience.
Screening for Down syndrome isn't new. It's been around since the late 60s. But health officials were concerned the program, as it was, meant too many invasive amniocentesis tests, which led to too many miscarriages. So last year, quietly and intentionally without any public consultation, a new, improved program was introduced. A simple blood test. If it shows the woman's at high risk, she's sent for further testing. So what's the big deal? Well, a group of parents are worried their children will become even more of a minority. Because as testing improves, worldwide data shows up to 90% of Down syndrome pregnancies are terminated. Simply put, the better the test, the fewer Down syndrome babies born.
The ministry says that this new screening test is consistent with international best practice.
Yes, they do.
You don't agree?
I don't agree. If international best practice is that the vast majority of unborn children with Down syndrome are being terminated and not being born, then to describe that process as best practice for us as parents is very deeply offensive.
So Mike Sullivan has dedicated himself to a no-holds-barred fight on behalf of his daughter against the new screening program, provocatively calling it eugenics, the practice of selective breeding of the human race. You only need to watch him talk to see how insulted he is.
As an individual and a parent of a child with Down syndrome, I would never accept that my child is any less human than others. If New Zealand wants to debate the issue and make a collective decision that we want to return to the social policies that were popular in Germany before the Second World War, then let's have that debate. The world's population and all.
So Mike Sullivan is doing just that, wherever he can find an audience, leading a group of 20 families campaigning against the new program.
Although the government states that reduction of births is not the purpose, it is clear that they had foresight that this would be a consequence.
But if you're going to have a debate about screening, you can't ignore what is still one of the most taboo topics, abortion. Sullivan openly states that his group's fight is supported by anti-abortion group Right to Life. Termination is something he won't even countenance.
The fact, though, that on finding out that she's pregnant with a Down syndrome baby,
A baby with Down syndrome.
a woman might say to you, I fully respect your right to continue with a Down syndrome pregnancy or to parent that child, but I don't want to.
Well, again, this is a question of discrimination. Why should one section of the community be targeted in this way?
You don't see any room here for individual choice?
I see room here for individual responsibility.
So there's no circumstances under which you would accept the termination of a Down syndrome pregnancy?
Not on the basis of a diagnosis of Down syndrome, no. I want my daughter to live in a society that values her life on an equal basis with others.
It's the foundation of their whole argument that people with Down syndrome are valuable, contributing members of society, just like anyone else. And 22-year-old Alex Snedden is living proof. Far removed from the days of institutionalisation, Alex independently, confidently catches the train into the city each Friday, just another one of the commuters. Heading to Drake International, where he works 1 day a week in administration. Computers and technology are his thing.
Good morning, food bank. Alex speaking.
He also has a strong social conscience, spending another day a week volunteering at an Auckland food bank, where he works alongside his auntie Jill.
I thought you were at the Auckland Blues game.
I am there.
Yeah. Oh, was there a big crowd? Was it hard to find?
Before the screening program was introduced, the government didn't bother to talk to anyone with Down syndrome. But with the help of his mother Bridget, we wanted to speak to Alex about what he thinks.
Alex, do you think much about the fact that you have Down syndrome?
Sometimes yes, sometimes not. A long time ago, I said to myself, what do I look like? Ordinary or Down syndrome? Now I know the answers. I've got Down syndrome.
And when you thought about that, did that worry you, or were you okay with that?
But everyone accepts me, like always.
Everyone accepts you?
Yeah. Then I meet someone.
Who did you meet?
Someone I may know.
Acceptance. It's something any 22-year-old craves.
But as a girl.
It's a girl.
Yeah.
Particularly one who, as he tells us, is a bit of a ladies' man.
The name is Ollie.
Ollie. A girl, Ollie.
Yeah.
Oh.
As charming as her son is, Bridget admits it took her a while to stop wishing Alex didn't have Down syndrome, but he got her in the end.
What happened to make you come round when he was only 6 weeks, 2 months old?
Yeah, Alex smiled at me. When he smiled, when he made that connection, I just fell in love with him and started to see Alex as, Alex, and having Down syndrome wasn't going to define him, and it doesn't define who he is.
James is not Down syndrome, he has Down syndrome. James is James.
It's hard not to smile when you're around James Jensen.
1, 2.
At the risk of perpetuating the stereotype, he is a happy child. So his parents too are worried about the new program. Deanne and Lance Jensen have also studied the international data and fear it'll be mirrored here, that most people wouldn't want a son like theirs.
That broke my heart to think that he wasn't going to be accepted.
And that people think that there is something
Wrong? Oh yeah. But you see him, there's nothing wrong. He's just not like other kids. He gets everything, he just gets it in his own time.
They have another child, David, who's 18 months, sleeping when we visit, who doesn't have Down syndrome. And they're expecting a third, although they won't be taking up the new test.
No blood test?
No.
No amniocentesis?
No way.
You don't want to know, or you just don't want to take the risk?
I don't want to take the risk.
Do you want to know?
Yeah, I guess there's a side of me that's curious, but not. The only reason why I'd want to know is to make sure the baby was safe.
But they're realists. They know there'll be many more who make a different choice. And for them, it's hard not to see the new program as simple economics.
It costs less not to have children with Down syndrome around, and so it kind of looks like that the government is working to do away with Down syndrome, so because it's cheaper. You don't have to pay for special needs things.
And there are official papers which show they have reason to think that. A 2007 report for the Ministry of Health cited overseas evidence saying the cost of avoiding the birth of a baby with Down syndrome is substantially less than the lifetime costs of care. But Dr. Pat Tui from the Ministry says economics has nothing to do with it.
I don't believe that this was undertaken in any way to save money by avoiding the birth of people with Down syndrome. And that's my view.
As a paediatrician, Pat Tui has worked with Down syndrome children and says he does know where the parents are coming from.
I understand that people with a range of disabilities in New Zealand, not just Down syndrome, feel discriminated against and feel that some New Zealanders make judgments about them and about the worthiness of their lives. And I think that's wrong.
You don't think the program is doing that?
No, it's not. The screening program has the potential to enhance the lives of people with Down syndrome.
How so?
By ensuring that babies who are born with Down syndrome, that parents have the opportunity to get to grips with what the issue is, to ensure that if they have a problem, which is much more common, as I said, in babies with Down syndrome, that it's treated appropriately. It also
the lives can only be enhanced if they're born, though.
That's right.
And if they're
I'm just saying it has the capability of that. So if the capability is there. It's actually what we as New Zealanders want to do about the issue of abortion that matters.
Will it, though, lead to more terminations as a result of positive diagnosis?
There's no evidence that it has so far.
And it's unlikely that evidence will ever be available. Figures on the number of Down syndrome terminations haven't been collected since 2009 for privacy reasons. Despite the absence of data, critics are sure there will be an increase in abortions based on the international experience.
I'm not myself yet convinced that that will be the outcome. It may be the outcome. I hope that it's not, because I think...
Do you really? You hope that
I do,
there's not a higher termination rate of children with Down syndrome?
I think that it's important to value the lives of people with Down syndrome as we value the lives of other children. The issue really is about what we want to do to maintain our diversity within our population. That's a bigger question that I can't answer.
And it's a question that was never asked. Public views on the new screening program were never sought. Instead, the ministry set up an advisory group, which itself couldn't reach a unanimous decision. So the ministry went ahead with the program anyway, leaving the impression it was introduced by stealth. Because in this 2008 report, a senior ministry official said there was a significant risk the issue would be debated in the media, and that therefore the National Screening Unit would not announce the initiative.
So ministry advisors knew this was a contentious issue, and yet, or maybe because of that, didn't want any discussion in the media.
I'm not. I think the discussion or that view was of a high-ranking ministry person.
Well, the minister accepted it. He said at the time that public consultation would unnecessarily delay improvements. I mean, it does sound like that whole problem of doctor knows best, doesn't it?
I think it's important to, I think most people would expect that if we are doing screening tests, that we do the best possible screening test we can.
Most people's minds are made up on what's right here, and when science, ethics and personal morality collide, it seems unlikely there'll ever be consensus. Although for Alex Snedden, the debate, such as it is, has very little bearing on how he lives. It's the extraordinarily ordinary life Alex so craves, one which he wants for future generations of people like him.
What would you say to parents who find out they're pregnant with a baby who has Down syndrome?
Okay, the easy answer, no. The easy answer, don't be afraid.
Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Coming up.
Spread that grass.
How long have we got before they're here?
Only months away. Next wet season. End of the dry.
That's next on 60 Minutes.